Good evening, everyone. This is Master Jose Torres, and I'm coming to you live with the Martial Arts Experience. I'm excited for this 2025 year of season. We have some amazing guests scheduled for you. But tonight, we have a very special guest. Tonight is Thursday, January 23rd, and I am excited to have this amazing martial arts artist, this martial arts legend, and magazine founder. So without further ado, I'm going to bring our amazing guest this evening, Mr. Nathan Ingram, in. How are you, sir? How's everything?
I'm good, brother. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you, man.
Oh, thank you so much, sir. You know, you've been around a long time. You've done some amazing work. And our focus this season is to feature and highlight a lot of masters, because some people don't always have access, right, to legends like yourself and the things that you're doing. So I wanted to obviously, give you this platform to interview you, sit down and celebrate you as well, sir. So thank you for joining me. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you, man.
So what is your official title? What is the title that you go by for your martial arts?
Sensei.
Sensei. Okay.
Sensei.
Okay.
Yeah. I have a lot of people. I was given the title Shidoshi by Grandmaster Ron Van Cleef. An amazing human being. I actually won his bare knuckle karate championship in 1976 at the Orpheum Theater.
Wow.
Against a gentleman by the name of Victor Erwin Sanchez. That's how I got to know Grandmaster Van Cleef, an exceptional martial artist. He gave me the opportunity to be able to fight on his card. And I never forgot him, and he never forgot me. And we're like this, we had him on a couple of our magazines. So, I've been around a long time.
I got to tell you, Shidoshi Van Cleef, the Black Dragon is amazing. He's such a humble man. We had him on the show a couple episodes ago. And just, a wealth of knowledge and just how much he knows and what he gives back is just, he's just an amazing man. He really is.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. A good friend of mine. I want to tell that story. I remember back then I was trying to make a name for myself. A lot of people don't know I was born 1 block away from Chinatown, the Lower East Side of Manhattan.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and born and raised there. Alfred E. Smith Projects, right out on the outskirts of Chinatown. Started training at the age of I think I was 12 years old, between 11 and 12, 1968, and I wanted to make a name for myself, and I started fighting fairly early. I think around about 1971. Didn't make any waves until about 1973 when I started, putting my name, trying to get my name out there. And he was one of the main ones that gave me the opportunity, Grandmaster Van Cleef. He called me up one day, and I didn't know how he got my number. I come to find out that it was Frank Ruiz. I don't know if you remember Grandmaster Frank Ruiz from Nisei Goju.
Wow, out of New York, right? Out of New York.
Out of New York, yes. He was one of the founders. He was actually Wilfredo Rodan, who was a legend, God bless his soul. He was his instructor, and I actually fought Rodan in 1974. So, and another, back then the tournaments were no different. There were set matches. It wasn't so much like it is now, but you can have set matches. I fought a lot of set matches. I wasn't a real good point fighter. I tell people that all the time. I couldn't get with the game of tag, which is an art. It's an art, and I'm not disrespecting it at all. It just wasn't for me. I had to grab the gi and hit you, and we had to keep banging. So, and you had to make me bleed before I knew I lost. So,
right. Hold on. To interrupt you, put that knuckle up on that fist there. Let everybody see that knuckle, sir. That's why this man's not a point fighter, because he's gonna punch through you. Go ahead. Continue, sir. Continue.
So Ron Van Cleef is the one that gave me one of my biggest shot in 1973 when he called me and he said, and he goes, my mom says, there's a guy on the phone. He's the one to speak to you. She said he has a name like a celebrity. And I said, who is that? And then when I picked up the phone, I said, hello. And he goes, Nathan Ingram. And I said, yes, sir. And he goes, this is Grandmaster Ron. He said, Kyoshi. He said, Kyoshi, Ron Van Cleef. And I almost hit the ceiling, man. I was like, whoa, why did you get my number and all this? And he says, I would like to know if you would fight for me. And I said, when? He said, tomorrow night. And I said, sure. And I said, but why me? And there's so many people he could have had, that could have fought. There was so many people back then. And he said, because you stay ready. That stayed in my head for the rest of my martial arts career.
Wow.
If a guy like Ron Van Cleef, who kept himself in mint condition, could say that he had enough faith in me, knowing that I stayed ready, I wanted to be that way for the rest of my life because of that. So he touched my life. Mm-hmm.
Wow. What was it like, and obviously I want to say New York City, right, in the 70s
Yes, sir.
was probably, a little more diverse than the suburbs, right, at that time.
Yes, yes.
But what
Yes.
was it like being a minority martial artist in the 70s? Was it, what was it like growing up during that time, as a martial artist coming up?
I have to say, I can only speak for me. I hear a lot of brothers and sisters that, they came up in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, Harlem, Spanish Harlem, Black Harlem, the Bronx. I was a black guy born and raised in Chinatown. Yeah, outside of Chinatown. I have my dojo in Chinatown since 1973.
Wow.
I've been teaching in Chinatown. I closed my last dojo in Chinatown in 2020. My biggest dojo. I had the biggest dojo in Chinatown, and I finally closed down because of COVID. I had no other choice. And so when I get asked that question a lot in interviews, and I don't know what it's like, because when you grow up into something, you become so accustomed to it. I can't equate it to anything else because I didn't grow up in an all black neighborhood. There were blacks, there were Puerto Ricans, there was Chinese, there was Jewish, there was whites, there was Italians. Some areas, like in Black Harlem, it was minority. I mean, the majority was black. Spanish Harlem, majority was Hispanic, Puerto Rican. So I grew up in such a diverse area. I can't really even answer that. Was it tough for me? Yes, because here I am, a black man, the first black man to ever own a karate school in the history of Chinatown. Okay, and I would come to my dojo, and my black belts tell the story all the time. It's even coming out of my movie. I never knew who was going to be sitting there waiting to challenge me all the time, because they just didn't want me there. Right. They just did not want me there in the 70s. So growing up in the 70s, one thing I could say, it was tough, man, because we didn't have the distractions that the martial artists have now. We didn't have cable TV. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have computers. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have anything. So we trained. And I know, I don't remember seeing any out of shape martial artists during that time. Everybody from Ron Van Cleef to Joe Lewis. Joe Lewis to Joe Hayes to Ron Taganashi, Wilfredo Rodin, Ernest Hyman. Everybody was training. That's all we did. We had nothing else to distract us. So it was tough. One thing I could say, I didn't know too many martial artists that didn't train for hours a day. And I would be surprised if there were, because most of the martial artists during that time were just a totally different breed of martial artists now. Right.
It was harder times. And is that something too, as a school owner, your experience? I'm a school owner too. I've had my school for 25 years now. It's crazy, right? Not only, martial artists, but even your customers and children and everything that's changing now, right? We I know we try to be as traditional as possible, but right, we live in a different age. 2025 is different than the 70s.
Totally different. Totally different. I'll be honest with you, it's totally different in a lot of ways. One of the things that I think is very negative, you get a lot of instructors now that I don't like what I'm seeing from them, from the foul mouth to not leading by example, from being out of shape to being more like gang leaders than martial artists. I see a lot of that, a lot of talking on Facebook and disrespecting people. Now it's the whole thing. Everybody's fake, fake title, fake this. This is what people say. I'm not saying they're fake. I'm saying this is what you hear instructors say, instead of concerning themselves about training, teaching. And a lot of these guys don't even have schools that be talking this stuff. And, I'm really disappointed at the direction that I'm seeing. And that's one of the reasons why I just don't let anybody in the magazine. We had a guy, he was so negative. He was on the cover of the magazine. I took him off. Wow. I took him off. He was so negative, always calling people fake and always disrespecting somebody, always filthy mouth, always drinking. When he gets drunk, he act tough and all this. This is not martial arts.
Right.
Right. Going after people at seminars and telling everybody they doing it wrong. And, what happened to the integrity and the honor? What happened to any of that? Why all the talking and the bragging now and it's just horrible. And I think it's really horrible, man. I don't like that aspect of it. I think that a lot of the martial artists have evolved. I think these kids are very talented. Right. And I'd stretch and say much more talented, not much more, but a lot more talented than a lot of us when we were coming up. However, the durability, I don't see. I don't see the discipline. I don't see the respect and the honor, and I don't see the work ethics in a lot of the kids and instructors. I think that's the difference to me. Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you brought that up, and it's funny because you're kind of the first person on my show. I've always had, and this season, like I said, we're trying to bring a lot of different local martial artists and people that people don't get contact with all the time,
right.
Because we're on the battlefront, right? We're teaching, right. We're on the floor, we're going to the events, we're building our business, we're doing all these things, and that is something that is terrible. Honestly, Sensei, Shidoshi, it's terrible. The people on the internet, and they just keep going. And I got to be honest with you, it's even some guys that are very well respected in the community or were well respected, and it disheartens me to see that when people are. It doesn't matter keyboard warrior or not. The fact that people just call people out and just say these things, and some of them are so brutal, and it's like, oh my goodness. People, before we had internet, let's be honest, when people would say something like that on the street, what would happen, right? You would have
a
brawl. You would have a brawl right there, and they would never necessarily say some of those things. And now a lot of people are doing that. And yes, are there fakes? 100% because of the internet, because of everything, right? Guys can attain different ranks and do things and not follow proper channels. But I agree with you. The overall, respect and humility, I do feel like it's kind of declining. I'm seeing a lot in the minority community. I feel like a lot we tear each other down instead of building each other up. We're still, the minority. I feel that way, right? Black and brown, 100%. Like we're not on the forefront, and I feel like we should be raising each other. Or if we know a brother or a person or a student or another martial artist that maybe is not doing what they're supposed to, or maybe kind of fraudulently doing stuff, how hard is it to give a person a call? Hey, so and so, listen, man, you're putting yourself out there. I'm not telling you what to do, but maybe be aware of what you're doing. You're creating problems for you, right? Nobody does that. Nobody ever does. Nobody.
Let me tell you something. There was a guy talking about me so bad on Facebook, saying some horrible things. I let him go. I'm not that kind of guy. I didn't argue with him back and forth on Facebook. I showed up at his event. Everything he said, he wound up keeping his mouth shut when I got there. Well, this guy, and he was the same guy we took off the cover, and talked all this stuff on Facebook, on the internet. I was a fake this, I did that. Meanwhile, I've been training in martial arts. This is my 57th year. Wow. I thank you. I've been training more than what most people are alive, and telling people I was on steroids, all kinds of stuff. Real horrible things he was saying about me. Don't even know this guy like this. So I went to the event. All of a sudden, he learned he forgot how to speak English, and all the words went out his mouth. He just standing there like a dummy, and I said what I had to say. It was videotaped, and I said what I had to say, and I left. Didn't have to put my hands on him. He punked himself, the whole time. So, still nothing. He still run his mouth on the internet. Still doing the same thing. Some people, I came to the conclusion, just have a mental problem. They like attention. And martial artists, we have people looking at us. And when we're acting tough and we're acting like fools on the internet, this is wrong, brother. This is not the behavior of a martial artist, man. This is when you talking and acting tough and you're talking about people at seminars and you call yourself calling them out. just like you said, face me face to face, talk to me, call me, meet me somewhere. You know, I offered to meet this individual in Florida. He had every excuse in the book he gave why he couldn't meet me in Florida. You know, he called me a special kind of stupid and all this. And I'm only speaking like this because it's a time that we, you know, people really, we put them on blast. And I'm not talking about, I'm not the kind of guy to curse, you know, because I'm really careful. I've taught thousands of students, man, thousands. And I try to lead by example. So I'm very careful what comes out of my mouth. And a lot of instructors are not careful about what comes out of their mouth. You have people that we have a responsibility as instructors to act right and not make fools of ourselves. Many times I wanted to get on Facebook and say some things to some instructors, and I'm saying, God, do you have any filter? Do you realize people are listening to you? Do you realize I would never sign my child up in your school because the way you're talking and acting like a thug? This is wrong. Yeah. This is wrong behavior, and these guys don't see it. Go ahead. I'm sorry, brother.
No. Listen, I totally agree with you. And again, I'm glad you brought this up because it's a sad time. And there's some really, you know, there's some idols that I've looked at. There's some people that I've associated with. There's people in the industry. And sometimes I just shake my head and it honestly hurts me because we are in such an important position and blessed.
Yes,
you know,
sir.
Again, with our industry, who we are, what we're trying to do. And you know, sometimes we don't see that. And some guys just, you know, I know we get mad, right? People get mad. You know, you're mad that this guy's doing this or this person's doing that. But at the end of the day, you know, we have to remember that the eyes are on us at all times. And, you know, even me, I tell you, I'm much more active on social media than I've ever been now, right? I remember when I would post like once every year, right? Where now I'm posting every day. But I try to be positive. I talk about positive things. I talk about my family. I don't do religion. I don't do politics. I don't talk about other people because that's not me, but that's not the way that I was raised. That's not the way that I want to portray myself as a martial artist or a leader, you know? And I think that if we keep that path, you know, people will see that. And let's be honest, you know, Sensei, is that eventually, you know, the cream rises to the top and those other people, they start to fall off and things start happening. And I feel like if you stay righteous, the path comes whether you're religious or not. But as long as you're doing good things will happen, you know? And I just don't know why people attack people like that. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Well, let me tell you something. Sometimes we have to, and when it comes to me, I remember listening and seeing so much stuff because I just got on Facebook in 2019. A lot of people don't know that I was never on Facebook. I didn't start responding to people until the magazine came out. I didn't get on Facebook. I would watch and I would say to myself, why are they acting like that? Why you always have to have an opinion? And why, if somebody else give an opinion, you just can't take it? If they don't see it your way, you block them or you say stupid stuff. So after I seen this for a while, around about 2021, I made a decision. I said, you know what? I don't want to be called Shidoshi no more. And I said, because it doesn't mean anything. The titles don't mean a thing. The fancy gi doesn't mean anything. And the color of your fancy belt doesn't mean anything. If you're not living with integrity, honor, and respect. And I de-ranked myself. I used to wear a red belt. I stopped wearing it. I only wear, like right now, I have my black belt. I just finished training with no stripes. Just a plain black belt. And I de-ranked myself when I made a big thing on Facebook. And I said, from now on, I would love for everybody to refer to me as Sensei. I said, I no longer want to hold that title of don't call me Grandmaster, none of that stuff. Simply Sensei, which means the one that came before. So, and I did that as a protest to all the foolishness that I see. You know, and then you still have a certain person saying, oh, he called himself Shidoshi. He's not a ninja. And he said all this dumb stuff. And I said, you know, what does it take? You know, and then when I act on it, then the person becomes the victim. You know what I mean? So you're in between a rock and a hard place. This is one of the times where I'm glad I'm not teaching like I used to. And the reason why, this is by choice. So much, you know, with the travel, I do a lot of traveling now. There's no secret with the magazine, a lot of appearances, got, you know, my movie coming out. I'm doing so many things. if I can't teach on a high level I'm used to teaching, I'd rather not teach, because I love teaching. I used to teach in my dojo in Chinatown. I was in my dojo 12 hours a day. I was accustomed to teaching 8, 9 classes a day. But I'm so glad that I could sit back and watch it and maybe hopefully make a change with what I'm doing with the magazine, and bringing back integrity, and having guys like yourself that's been in the magazine, and so many others, and we got to get you back in the magazine too. We got to get you back in the magazine for reading. We'll talk. But anyway, bigger this time. I want to be able to help change the martial arts, man. If I got to lead by example, be one of the guys that lead by example, I'll take that torch. I'll take that. I love Ron Van Cleef. When he posts wonderful things about his history, he's a legend. There's a lot of people I look up to. He's one of them. He's one of the main ones, because he's always been the same, never changed, so humble, so respectful. I was at an event with him recently, and on 42nd Street, and he's sitting next to me. He said, "Nathan, sit next to me." I was sitting there, and I felt like I was literally sitting with a history book. And I can identify with the things he's telling me because I come up through that era. Although I'm not as his age, I'm a little younger than him, but I used to watch him fight. I watched him compete. I watched him perform. I was with him when he at the tournaments, and when he just came from Hong Kong making the Black Dragon in the early 70s. And he was, saying, I got to get you to fight in my tournament, whatever, and that's the guy I remember. He's still alive, and we have to remember we have the moral obligation to make sure that we become martial artists like that leave a good legacy for our students. That's why my magazine, The Deadly Art of Survival, our magazine, is so important, because we'll get into that. We'll get into that.
Let's not stop. Let's tell all of our viewers, how did your idea for The Deadly Art of Survival come up? When did you come up with the idea, and then what helped you get it over the hump to be like, hey, we're launching the magazine?
A lot of people don't know the name Deadly Art of Survival was patented by me in 1974. And that was the name of my system, The Deadly Art of Survival, because I lived in a rough area, the Lower East Side, Manhattan, Alfred E. Smith projects. You had to survive. But I studied martial arts, which is an art. And you become deadly after training for so long if you train hard enough. So I just put it all together, Deadly Art of Survival. Me and one of my black belts, Freddie Rivera, God bless the dead. He passed away a couple of years back, man, and I miss him dearly. And sitting and watching one of my black belts teach one day, and I just took a little break, and I said I wanted to come up with a name of our federation, because I was studying Shotokan at the time. I was studying Goju, and I wanted to do a little something different. And I came up with that name, The Deadly Art of Survival. And what happened was, I was walking during COVID. Fast forward 40, 50 years later, I'm walking in the subway station in New York. I love to be in the subway. That is a freak thing. And I go by the newsstand, and I see magazines, and I see Black Belt magazines. So I seen Bruce Lee on the cover. So I said to the gentleman, I said, are there any martial art magazines without Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris on it? And I said, no disrespect to Bruce Lee, but I know guys that are just as good and some better that did amazing things. You could talk about a guy like Derek Williams, who's won over 5,000 championships.
Wow.
Okay. Nunes, thousands of championships. Wildcat Molina, all these, I can go on and on. I don't want to say too many names because everybody, he left me out. But Errol Bennett, Abdul Mutaka Bear, Sheldon Wilker, all these guys that came up when I was coming up, Lamar Thornton, Sam McGee, did some amazing things. You never hear about them outside of the martial arts circle.
Right.
So I said, you know what? I said, I want to give an award ceremony for these guys. And I said, so I want to give them an award and let them know how much Nathan Ingram appreciate them, because they all had a lot of respect for me because they knew who I was and they knew I taught in Chinatown, and a lot of them came and visit my school. Some got on the mat and we did kumite together. I had an open door policy. I would have people from all over the world come in if they want to kumite with me, get on the mat with me. I'm open still to this day. Person invite me to dojo, I go quick. I love it. I just love to train. It's not being a tough guy stuff. I just love to train. Right. And so I said, let me give an award ceremony. All right, I call my guy up and he goes, who does the awards? He says, Nathan, I can't do your awards. He says, I'm sick now. They don't know what's wrong with me. I'm in a hospital. I said, okay. Victor Pye. He had the only trophy store in all of Chinatown. I used him for years. He wound up dying. And I couldn't give the show because they canceled because we couldn't put so many people together. Remember during COVID?
Right.
Couldn't congregate. So what happened was I had to cancel the show. So I'm sitting home. I was living with my sister. She allowed me to turn her basement into a dojo. So I'm teaching on Zoom. I said, but I got to do more, than this, man. I let everybody down because I told everybody about it. I told Rico Guy, he died. Federal died, he died. About 6 or 7 people that I was going to give award to died since then. Wow. So I said, what can I do? I can't give the award ceremony. I said, I know what I'll do. I'll make a brochure and like a kind of make it look like a magazine so that I can give that to them and let them know how much I appreciate them. And they can give it to their students. That wasn't my son's idea. When I showed him the magazine cover, he said, Dad, no, we're going to do something bigger than this. And my son, I didn't even know he could do graphic design. And especially to the level he's doing it now, Yeah. And we took it down. He took it, sent it to Amazon, and the rest is history, man. We became, he published it Thursday. Saturday, we became #1 new release. Monday, we became #1 bestseller. The following week, we became #1 magazine worldwide on Amazon, and on and on. And we're on our 21st edition now, coming up on our 21st edition. We have 38 different covers because we do 3 and 4 covers per edition. Lately, We've been doing that. And every single cover has been #1 on Amazon worldwide.
That's
every
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What you guys did and the method that you're doing, that's a testament to you and your son, and just from the visual artistry of the way his design is, because I think that's what, let's be honest, the older magazines were not necessarily the best designed, right? They were designed by karate guys who didn't have any real, let's be honest, what I mean? Let's be honest. Yeah. And again, I had to obviously, experience myself doing some stuff when I worked with action. It's hard, and I love what you guys are doing, to keep it relevant. You're keeping it exciting. It's fresh. And you're giving those flowers to those instructors that people don't necessarily see. And I think that's very important. Plus, you're getting Ty Mack and you're getting, Wesley Snipes. I mean, phenomenal. You guys are doing a great job. So I really, kudos to you guys. Congratulations. I wish you the most success. I'm a fan, you know what I mean? I really am. And I'm happy. I'm really happy. I've spoken to your son, a couple times, and great. You did a great job, Dad. He's a good man. And,
he's good. I have a lot of people don't know I have 5 sons. He's the baby.
Oh, wow.
My oldest son, Nathan Jr., will be 47 in 2 months. And all of them are in shape. All my sons, all of them are in shape, man. And the good thing about it, Jacob being the baby, we work a lot together because he's the youngest. And, of course, he's like a daddy's boy. And but we work really, really good. And plus his expensive, Jacob was a champion. A lot of people don't know. He not only did he do karate, but he was in the Golden Gloves. And he was in the Golden Gloves, man. He lost in the semifinals by 1 point. Unlike the rumor out that somebody spread he got knocked out. No, he didn't. He lost by 1 point in the finals. And my other sons are all very good, all entrepreneurs in the military, things like that. So the magazine, getting back to magazine, I want to say this. Please allow me this minute to say this. This magazine, The Deadly Art of Survival, is a magazine wherein we want to be able to bless martial artists that were never heard of. Never. 90% of the people in our magazine say they never had a chance to be in a magazine before. They were never given the opportunity. And if it was like a neighborhood magazine or something that wasn't really well done. And we wanted to give the martial arts professionalism. We're not in competition with any other magazine. You got people that's making magazines now to compete with us. I said, you're competing with yourself. We're not competing with anybody. Our mission statement is to make sure that martial artists that deserve to get recognition, give it. We're not charging anybody to be on the covers. We're not charging anybody to be in a magazine. Totally different from everybody else. And we're not doing it for bragging rights. Let me tell you something. When you do things for bragging rights, you won't get blessed. I don't care how you can brag about how your magazine is going to be this and your magazine is going to be that, and we'll show them. If you're doing it for that reason, you're never going to make it right. It's always going to fail. You understand? A lot of people know I don't make it a secret. I'm a Christian. I'm a God-fearing man. And I play by his rules because, I love God. And I know that he expects from us. And one of the things he expects is to be giving, to be loving, to make sure that you say the right things, you do the right things. And I don't play being a Christian. I'm open with it, and if anybody have a problem with it, it don't matter. They had a problem with Jesus Christ. You think I count? So I have to really say, I just wanted to say that to people that are watching, that the Deadly Art of Survival is a magazine for people that never had an opportunity to be in magazine. And I believe that you deserve it. But we only take people that we know that's living with integrity, that's living honorably, that they're teaching right. They're not living foolishness, living foolishly, and I love instructors that are doing the right thing, teaching these children. We have children watching us, brother. Right. We can't act a fool, getting high, drinking, acting stupid, and saying anything that comes out of your mouth. Once you release those words, you can't take it back. Absolutely. And a lot of martial artists are not being careful what they're doing. And when you're acting like fools, the students are watching us and they're not admiring us. They're confused by our behavior when we act like that. I had to let that out, brother. I had to let that out.
I appreciate that. I think, like I told you when we spoke earlier, when you mentioned that, what's happening now, it's very unfortunate. And that's not everybody. Let's be honest. There's some
that's right.
Out there, some martial artists, but we have so many eyes on us, and we're so blessed to have a platform. I could say martial arts saved my life. I wanted to be my instructor, right? When I he was a second father to me. I loved how the man walked, how he talked, everything about him. I wanted to be him, because martial arts gave me that purpose. And we have that power. We are influential role models to not just our own students, to other people's students, to other masters, other people that are thinking and say, you know what? I like how Sensei Ingram moves. I like how he carries himself. He's given me the blessing today. If this guy can do it, I can do it. And that's what we have to do, because it is, it's such a powerful thing, martial arts. And I really wish, people, just had that focus like you have, and just live righteously, because so many people, I have students that come back. I trained them 25 years ago. Now their kids are coming, or their grandkids. So it's like, you never understand. I mean, listen, right? We teach people, we try to do our best, but we never understand our reach sometimes. Let's be honest, right? Sometimes we touch someone and we do something to help them through the darkest time of their life, and we don't understand that, we don't. It's the craziest thing, but keep doing what you're doing, sir. Again, congratulations on the magazine. I'm so happy for you guys. Thank you. And I only wish you the best. So what's the next step for Deadly Art of Survival, sir? Are we doing a Deadly Art of Survival TV show?
We got some serious stuff getting ready to happen. One of the main things that is going to happen, I don't know if you know, besides my book that just came out, the Life and Times of a Warrior, which was a #1 new release also. Wow.
Yes, sir. That's a good look.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You look
5
good,
stars. Thank you, man. 5 stars on Amazon. doing very well, still doing very well. I'm actually going to be in Atlantic City at the Tropicana Hotel and Casino doing the signing, and I'm going to be visiting a couple of people's seminars. I'm gonna leave it at that. They'll be surprised to see me walking in a seminar. But we have my movie coming out, the Nathan Ingram story, with my middle son Justin, who is a phenomenal producer. And we've been working on it now for a while. I don't know if you know of course you know, but I think we talked about the movie strike. So it set us back during the movie strike, and now I think our last day of filming I thought was last month, but he called me up and said, Dad, we got to do one more scene, and that's on I think February 2nd. Matter of fact, the weekend I'm gonna be in Atlantic City, that's Sunday, we have to start back filming short clips. Look for it, everybody. It's called The Nathan Ingram Story, and it tells from my humble beginnings from Chinatown. It takes you from my whole journey, interviewing the people in Chinatown and all, people from that study under me I got black belts that been with me for 50 years. That's going to tell stories. Yeah, because I've been teaching 52 years.
God bless.
Yeah, and I've been in martial arts 57.
Sir, you don't look a day over 21, sir. There's no way you've been teaching. Sir, look at the shape you're in, sir. Your skin is young. Let me find out, sir. You guys, what are you doing? You're not getting Botox, are you? You're not getting Botox, are you?
But no, I just love training, brother. God knows I've been training, man. I still do 300 push-ups like nothing, man. I just love training. I don't like the talking, all that talking and stuff, and you walk around with your belly hanging out. People are not impressed with that. People lead by example. And I'm not just being disrespectful to anybody. I'm just saying that, we are instructors. We got to lead by example. And I'm from old school. I don't know what it is not to train. I trained my whole life on a high level, man, and I'm not going to stop now. So I just love that, and this is who I am. This is who I am. I'm not a talker. This is the most I'll talk is in the interview. Most people get around me. I don't talk that much. I'm not a talker. I love people, man, and I love being a good example. I'm not a perfect person. Nobody's perfect. I'm a God-fearing man. God is working on me, man, but I know I have a job to do, man, and a calling. And my calling, man, is to unite the martial arts. And I'm not talking about styles. I'm talking about, just bringing people together and let them bring them back on the journey of what martial arts used to be like. Back in the days when people took it really seriously, man. I remember coming up when I was a kid, a black belt was a superhero, man. I seen black belts walk down the street and I'd be like, my God, I remember the first time I seen Joe Hayes back in 1968. I was a green belt. I don't know if you remember the Honorable Joe Hayes from Taekwondo.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
He was I patterned my training after him. Wow. He was one of the best conditioned martial artists I had ever seen in my life to this day. I patterned my training after him. You understand? Wow. And I've always been natural, never taken any kind of supplements beside a protein drink every once in a while. I stayed natural, contrary to what some believe. Yeah, I stayed natural. As God is my witness, I've stayed natural my whole life, man. I just love training, brother. And if you train hard, you'll get results. That's that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line, brother.
So, Ingram, let's go over the condition of your knuckles, right? Because you do not have you got some seasoned knuckles there, sir. So tell me the story. Is this 1,000 strikes on the Makiwara? Are you hitting bricks? Are you hitting freight trains? What are you doing?
Okay, I should have brought it upstairs. I just finished training. I've been doing knuckle training most of my life. Or just about all my martial arts life. What I do is I do about 1,000 to 2,000 strikes a day on a brick. I have a little kind of portable brick that I carry around, and sometime if I'm in an area, I'll hit a tree, I'll hit a pole, I hit poles, but I never do less than like 300-400 per hand. So never, ever. So I believe in Aikin Asatsu, which means to kill with one blow. I've always had that. I've always wanted to be able to have the power of just hitting hard, and that's just me, not to actually hit somebody hard, but just knowing I wanted to turn my body into a weapon. You
Right.
know, I came from that school wherein, you know, you didn't use a weapon, you know, against, if a man is unarmed, you don't pull a weapon on him. That has happened to me by another black belt. And
Wow.
if you unarmed, you fight them, especially if you're going to do a lot of talking, you fight them, you know. So I believed my whole life into turning my body into a weapon, but you can't do that if you're not training to make it become that. You can talk all you want. Your body ain't making a change unless you do the work. So
Right.
that's been my philosophy my whole life. So I do the knuckle training, you know, every day. Knuckle push-ups. I do maybe 500, 600 knuckle push-ups a day. I used to do 2,500 up until about maybe 6 years ago. My wrist started bothering my wrist. So now I do maybe about anywhere between 300 and 500, and within a matter of like 20 minutes, I'll do that.
Do
Mm-hmm.
you do now at your stage of your life now, your age, are you
I'm
doing
68.
more?
I'm 68 years old, brother.
I need to see your birth certificate because I don't believe it.
I'm 68 years old, brother.
So
Yeah.
at 68, sir, are you
Mm-hmm.
doing more weight training or body weight training? What do you feel you're at your peak with? Are you still doing weight training or are you doing more body weight?
I don't do a lot of weight training anymore. I used to. If I showed you pictures of what I looked like back in the days, I have posted once or twice on the internet.
Did you compete? Did you
Yes,
compete? Were you a bodybuilder?
yes. I won Mr. Z100 twice. I won Mr. Natural Physique once. I won Mr. I won another contest. In 1974, I won Mr. 1974, I won Mr. Z100. 1975, I won it again. I won Mr. Natural Physique in 1984, 1985, Mr. Natural Physique in 1986, I believe. I won about 2 or 3 more, but all natural contests. And listen to this, guys, God is my witness. I never trained or prepared for any of them. I just
Wow.
walked off the street and oiled up, and yes, and I don't play with God when I say that.
Wow. So what are
Yes,
you
and it was
walking around? What are you walking around at? Like 2% body fat, less than 2? Where are you at? What are you walking around
well.
at?
This is not the best condition I'm in now because I have, injuries from, many years. I don't know what I don't know what I weigh. Probably I would say about 225. I used to be, when I was bodyguarding and stuff, I was like 245, 250 of solid muscle. Matter of fact, that's going to come out in the movie, the pictures and stuff like that. And I think it's in my book too. So, just from I was always natural, but now getting back to what the original question, I mostly do calisthenics now. Back then, I mixed a lot of calisthenics, and if I told you what my training was back then, I don't even talk about it. I let my black belts talk about it in the movie. It was insane, but now I just do my push-ups. I do dips. I do some dumbbells sometime. I do pull-ups. And I like to kumite. I like to spar whenever I get a chance. Just to keep myself in shape, and I do all kind of conditioning. Stretching. I do ab work. Yeah. But I don't belong to a gym. I haven't belonged to a gym in years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Wow. That's unbelievable, sir. So what was your face? So when you're doing these physique or bodybuilding shows, what was your favorite? So I got a little bodybuilding knowledge myself. So did you like that spread? What was your favorite pose? Did you have a favorite pose?
Honest to God, I had no clue what I was doing. I would pull my thing up and I would do this, and I, I didn't know what I was doing, man. And I remember, I'll never forget this. I'm gonna tell this is the true story. God, honest truth. My niece, who is one of my favorite niece. You ever heard of the actor Michael Che from Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
Okay, well he's my nephew. So
wow. Okay.
yeah. His oldest sister is my mother. Matter of fact, I'm in their house right now.
Wow.
Yes, he's a big fan of our magazine. So his oldest sister, called me up. She said, "Uncle Nate, I want you to No, I'm sorry. Let me fast forward. I went to the second part. One of my black belts, Mildred, she called me up and she said, Sensei, can we go to, can I take you to lunch? I said, sure. She's one of my top black belts. Her husband is actually my children's cousin, Angel. Wonderful couple. So this was back in 1984. And she says, I want to go to the seaport because they're having a body contest. And I said, oh, okay. So when I get there, the judges, when I walked through the crowd with her, the judges looked at me and thought I was one of the competitors. So they said, listen, you're late. Everybody's on stage. And I looked at him and said, what are you telling me that for? He goes, oh, you're not a competitor? And I said, no. And he said, come on, get on stage. Don't worry. Make some money. I get on the stage. I kid you not. God is my witness in the seaport in New York. I get on the stage. They put me up against Mr. New York, Mr. Connecticut, Mr. Long Island, all these guys. And I beat all of them. Never did any posing or anything in my life. I was watching what they were doing and I was mimicking them and I won. Now, listen to this. The following year, my niece, I kid you not, call me on the same day and she goes, Uncle Nate, what are you doing? I said, nah, nothing. She said, you want to go to lunch? I said, all right, if you want to take me. I said, where are we going? She said, to the seaport. So I said, okay. So she comes to get me. We're going down the street. And I said, what's happening at the seaport? She said, oh, man, they're having a body contest. So I said, okay. I said, Verna, I won that last year. So she started busting out a laugh. She said, you're always joking around. She said, ain't no way in the world you won that. Don't get jealous of them. So she's making fun of me. When we walk onto the seaport, the announcer sees me and he goes, ladies and gentlemen, we have last year's winner here. I forget his name, but he's here. And it was me. And then he started yelling to the people, do you want to see him compete again? And everybody started saying, yeah. It was hundreds of people out there. I went up on stage and I tied with Mr. New Jersey for first place and we split the check. So I got a $500 the year before and $250. So I won it 2 years in a row.
Wow. So you're just blessed with, sir, not only good looks, but good genetics. Okay.
No. We won't take it that far. My grandkids will dispute that.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Oh
my God. Crazy story.
True story, man.
So bodybuilder before, 21 issues of Deadly Art. You have your movie coming up. Okay. Any other projects that you're able to drop to us now or
we have some special people coming up in the Deadly Art of Survival. We also having DasCon, which is and I would love for you to come, man. That's February 23rd. It's a yearly event. We have it. This is our 5th one, and every year it gets better and better. We have so many heavy hitters coming. I can't even say who's going to be there, but we got some heavy hitters on February 23rd, Sunday at DasCon. And then April, we're having the first DAS entertainment show. So it's going to be music, demonstrations. It's going to be actors. It's going to be like an open mic night. It's going to be something that people martial artists never seen before. And we have one more big project, but I'm not at liberty to say that's happening this year. So we got a lot of stuff coming for our fans, for our supporters. It's gonna be good, man. It's gonna be good.
Where is February 23rd at? What's the location?
It's Lower East Side of Manhattan on Grand Street by the FDR Drive, 551 Grand Street. Okay, it's a really huge dance studio. And we're going to have food, entertainment, magazines, T-shirts, seminars, exhibitions. We're going to have live. My son, a lot of people know he's a rapper. He's going to do a live show. So we're going to have a little bit of everything. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And what time does it start?
It starts at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and it ends at between 7 and 8. Depending upon, how late people want to be there. So, we're looking forward to seeing everybody. And people, if you, my schedule is going to be up on Facebook. If you're around, a lot of times I go to these different events and I pull out instructors that I see that I'm impressed with and I get them in the magazine. So I got a couple of books. I'm going to be in Atlantic City next week. The following week I will be in Philadelphia, then I'll be in Maryland. DasCon, then I'll be in Maryland, then I'll be in Florida. So I'm going to put my schedule up the appearances with the magazine. So any instructors that if you're interested and you're living right, man, and you have the right credentials and you think you can be in the magazine, you're what we're looking for, it would be an honor to have you grace our magazine. Mm-hmm.
Listen to all of our viewers. You heard it first, and you're not going to have a lot of publishers that are out there that are going to be, just, hey guys, reach out to us, come, because, obviously that's not the normal way the game is. So,
Yes.
I think for all of our viewers and everybody, this is a great opportunity to get involved. Deadly Art of Survival, Sensei Nathan Ingram and his son, they're doing a great job. So again, sir, congratulations. As we're approaching the hour, I feel like I'm going to have to put you on. We're going to have to do a 2-part thing because you and I could talk forever.
I love it, man.
I do want to know someone starting out as an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And again, because that's what you write. You were an entrepreneur. You started your own magazine. You thought outside the box, and the success has been amazing. What advice can you give, a person coming up that says, you know what, maybe they want to follow in your footsteps. Maybe they just want to try something new and try a new business venture. Do you have any advice that you can give them?
Absolutely. And I always tell people, especially the younger generation that's coming up, because older people, we stuck in our own way. Stay away from negativity. Stay away from advice from anybody, because a person that's never done what you've done can't teach you how to do it. Okay. So, or if a person that never been down a certain road can't tell you what to be aware of down that road. You have to be around people that that are entrepreneurs. Ask people questions that have experience. Be around people that are not lazy. When you go into anything, nobody's going to give you anything. It's going to be a lot of hard work, but as long as you take the time to do the work. My work ethic comes from my dad, and then him and my mother putting me in karate only build on what he was doing and saying. My father I'm a son of a Baptist preacher, and I grew up in church. I'm a musician, a singer, and I learned work ethics, from my whole family sings. My sisters, my brothers play instrument. My grandchildren sing. And what it all has in common is work ethics, man. It's all about that. And whatever you want to do, you put your mind to it. You can. Excuses is the building blocks to nowhere. If you live on excuses, you'll be stagnant. You won't move. I was growing up in the Chinatown area. Can I tell you this quick story?
Of course, yeah.
I'm going to tell this quick story. Walking down the street with my mom, 1967, walking down the street in Chinatown, the front of Chinatown with my mother, we see a group of gentlemen coming with sunglasses on. In the middle was one tall white guy and white gentleman. And I say his ethnicity, and there's going to be a reason because everybody's going to know who I'm talking about. And I look at this gentleman, and my mom goes, "What are you looking at, son?" I said, "I like the guys in the sunglasses, but are they protecting that guy?" She said, "Nathan, that's Robert F. Kennedy. That's Robert Kennedy." And I said, "Oh, man, John Kennedy's brother?" She goes, "Yes. And he heard me and my mom talking as he's coming towards us." He turns around, looks at me, and gives me a thumbs up, like acknowledging me.
Wow.
That stuck in my head for the rest of my life. The following week, my mother and father put me in karate. They allowed me to go into karate. There's a whole story with that. I won't get into it. As we're walking in Chinatown the following week, my mother used to go to thrift shops and buy old clothes. When we get to the front of Chinatown, I said to my mom, I said, "Mom," I said, "one day I'm going to open up a school here." And she said, and she was drinking coffee and she spit the coffee out of her mouth. And she said just like this, she said, "Little black boy, you're not going to open up anything here in Chinatown." She said, "Don't let your dream become a nightmare and let yourself down." She said, "It ain't going to happen." And I looked at my mom, but she didn't convince me. 5 years later, on the same corner where I said that to my mom is where I opened my first school. I just got my shodan, my black belt, and I started teaching just some local kids. Fast forward 30 years later, I opened the biggest school in all of Chinatown, the most popular school. And this is not about bragging. This is to answer to your question. anything you put your mind to, you can do as long as you work hard, you stay away from negativity. Never do people wrong by talking about them or slandering them, because that karma come back on you in a bad way. People don't see it right away, but when you see a person rising and you're trying to pull them down by slandering them, talking about them, you got to watch it that God, especially when they're anointed by God, that God don't mess around and pull you back up under the ground for pulling somebody else down. So, stay focused. I'm actually, the advice I give: stay focused, stay motivated, never let anybody get in your way. Don't let anybody tell you what you can't do. 2 years ago, a guy that we took off the cover of our magazine predicted we were not going to succeed after a year ago. He said a year and a half ago, he said, yeah, their magazine is going to go downhill. Ain't going to be no more. He made fun of us on Facebook. Guess what? That was 11 editions ago.
Wow.
And we're still moving. That's why you don't treat people like that. You don't do that. It's wrong, and we're still moving and going on. And God is good. God is great. He's amazing.
Absolutely. God is always good. Absolutely. For all my viewers that tuned in tonight and those that are going to watch this later on YouTube, you guys heard it first. I think you guys heard some very powerful words today. Sensei Ingram, thank you so much for joining
me. Thank you for having me.
Cutting time out of your time to join us and help us, bless us with your knowledge and your history. So thank you again for joining us. To all of our viewers, thanks for bringing us 2025 and bringing us in. This is our 3rd episode of the Martial Arts Experience. And you guys had the pleasure this evening of having Sensei Nathan Ingram, founder of the Deadly Art of Survival. Nathan, we wish you the best. Hopefully
thank you, buddy.
In Atlantic City, because I'll be at Alan's show as well.
Yes.
So I will see you. We're going to have to take some pictures and
oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I want to wish everybody a good night. Thank you so much.
God bless everybody. God bless everybody.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.